Okay, sir. A very good afternoon to everyone. On behalf of ISTD, I, Shreya Chopra, a student of Birla Institute of Management Technology, extend a warm welcome to all the speakers, guests of honor, and participants in the virtual ISTD Delhi Chapter National Conclave 2020 Day 2. Yesterday, we had an insightful session on workforce management and workforce planning. The session was addressed by eminent speakers from the industry. There was a lot of enthusiasm shown by the delegates who represented different organizations. Today, we open on the similar note and expect same level of participation and enthusiasm from the delegates. To start our day, we'll begin with Ganesh Vandana. Could I please request Mr. Murli Narayanan to play the Vandana?
I'm not going to be playing the Vandana, I'm going to be singing the Vandana for you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. First of all, a very warm good afternoon to all the organizers of the ISTD Delhi chapter, and welcome to all the delegates for the national conclave that you're organizing. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this wonderful gathering. So let me begin the session with a beautiful Ganesh Vandana done by Shankar Mahadevanji.
I would request everyone to mute yourselves to enjoy and be a part of this Vandana. Please mute yourself.
गणनायकाय गणदेवताय गणाध्यक्षाय धीमहि गुणशरीराय गुणमण्डिताय गुणेशाणाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशाणाय बालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशाणाय बालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि गानचतुराय गानप्राणाय गानान्तरात्मने गानोत्सुकाय गानमाताय गानोत्सुकमनसे गुरुपूजिताय गुरुदेवताय गुरुकुलस्थायिने गुरुविक्रमाय गुरुप्रवाराय गुरवे गुणगुरवे गुरुदैत्यगलक्षेत्रे गुरुधर्म सदाराध्याय गुरुपुत्र परित्रात्रे गुरुपाखण्ड खण्डकाय दसाराय गीततत्त्वाय गीतगौत्राय धीमहि गूढगुल्फाय गन्ध्यमध्याय गोजयप्रदाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशाणाय बालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि।
Thank you so much.
Wonderful and
Wishing you all the very best for the conclave.
so nice, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Murli. We feel blessed. Organizations are facing a period of unprecedented change, an age of disruption. The rapid pace of technology development and deployment is staggering. In our technology-enabled world, in which every company is a digital and data company, talent management is being redefined by the rapid changes and maturity of emerging technologies. Thus, it is essential for any organization to understand how emerging technologies are evolving and potentially disrupting talent management and ultimately long-term business strategy. May I now request Mr. Naveen Kumar, the session coordinator, to throw some light on the topic of discussion.
Thank you very much, Shreya. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to this session on technology and talent management. We have three very eminent people, practitioners on the panel today, Dr. Manasi Chaudhary, Rohit Thakur, and Deepak Agarwal. They bring in very different kinds of experiences to the table today. Let me briefly try and introduce the context. So the current digital necessity has hastened the pace of technology adoption and taken away the choice. So, now the choice is not about, the question is not about if, but what technology and how of the technology. So selecting an appropriate technology is going to be a challenge. Another challenge will be handling the internal culture and data process discipline to adopt new technology. To give you a very simple example, all of you must be attending so many webinars, and you may find that people, or even in your internal meetings, people do not mute their devices, when they're not talking, and it leads to a lot of noise. So it's very interesting. How do we bring in this kind of a data discipline or technology discipline in our workforce? It will also be very challenging and interesting to see how organizations share their best practices and learn from each other. Please look forward to a very engaging and interesting session. We have requested Dr. Manasi Chaudhary to be the moderator for this session. I shall now request Shreya to introduce the panelists and then hand over the session to Dr. Chaudhary for further deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you, Naveen, sir. So for today's discussion, we have Dr. Manasi Chaudhary, Professor and Head in the area of Organizational Behavior and Human Resource Management at Birla Institute of Management Technology, Greater Noida. A dual gold medalist during her Masters in Psychology and DPhil as a UGC Senior Research Fellow in the Department of Psychology from University of Allahabad, her research interests include occupational stress and health, employee engagement, management of organizational change, and organizational development. Many of her research papers have been published in edited books and reputed journals. Apart from conducting management development programs in the areas of emotional intelligence, leadership, motivation, team building, and human resource management for leading Indian organizations like NTPC, THTC, NHPC, Power Grid, and JSPL, to name a few, she has also been involved in consultancy assignments with NSPCL and in Aditya Birla Ultratech and Mining business. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Can I please request the IT team to play Dr. Manasi's video?
They already played. Carry
Yes,
on.
it was already shown.
Yeah, carry on.
Okay. Next, we have Mr. Rohit Thakur, CHRO of Paytm. With over 25 years of industry experience, he has previously worked with Accenture, where he was the Managing Director, Human Resources. Prior to that, he has served as the Head of Human Resources for Microsoft India. Sir has also spent 11 years at GE in various HR leadership roles across multiple businesses like energy, capital, engineering, corporate, and aviation, where he was recognized globally as a growth leader in inclusiveness. He has also worked with the Eicher Tractors, Cadence Design Systems, and Bosch& Lomb. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you so much, Shreya.
Carry on.
Next, we have Mr. Deepak Agarwal, Executive Director in charge IS Indian Oil Corporation Limited. Known as architect of highly available enterprise class computing infrastructure, Mr. Deepak piloted the implementation of world's largest SAP HANA implementation and Indian Oil's digital readiness and IT vision enablement program, iDrive. Steering an ambitious project, EPIC electronic platform for Indian Oil customers aimed to deliver next-generation customer experience through digital transformation and business excellence. Metamorphosis of HR in Indian Oil, powered by iTech SAP HR Engine, is the most successful project steered by him. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Shreya.
Proceed, Shreya.
Okay, so now I will request Manasi ma'am to please take over the session.
Before Dr. Manasi Chaudhary comes, good afternoon to all. It is a digital session. You are all attending from your respective offices and home. And I would request all of you to stay muted and use the chat box for reaching out to the panelists. You want to ask a question, put a question, but start with a Q, capital Q. That will draw the attention. Otherwise, they will consider that as a greeting. So whenever you want to write a question, start with a capital Q and put the question. That's how the panelists and all of us keep connected. Sorry for the intervention. Over to Dr. Manasi Chaudhary.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for setting the tone and the mode of conduct here. So there's been a lot of deliberation on resilient talent management since yesterday. And we have heard a lot of experts speak on how to take charge of, workforce management and workplace management. So talent management also, like everything else, has changed over the past few decades. The future of talent and workforce is a digital revolution where they are expected to increase their effectiveness and efficiency by leveraging various advanced technologies, say like artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things, big data, blockchain, etc. The purpose of the technology is to reduce the mundane routine tasks and to accelerate automation to the extent of reducing costs, investing more in people's development, and creating sustainable organizational value. The agility to learn and change, the adaptability and resilience, together with relevance according to the changing needs, are probably some of the most important skills one must possess. Now, before I invite my fellow panelists to deliberate on this, I request the IT team to please come up with the first poll. Can we have the first poll, please?
Interesting way to start, no? Good.
Okay, so here the first question is in front of you and I hope it is visible to all. Can you predict the kind of jobs that will exist in 2030?
I'm very happy to see the speed with which our fellow participants are voting. We already got 46.7% of participants have voted. Boy, interesting. The madams talked about agility and we have shown agility. 60% have voted. Dr. Manasi, you must be very happy with this audience, huh?
Yes, sir. I'm waiting for the results.
No, results are no. I want to see the agility. Right, wrong is second part. But so prompt, so swift. I'm very happy. 66% have voted. When do you want to stop? What percentage you want, madam?
So, if people have voted, then maybe we can see what the results are.
66% people have voted. Is it a good sample size? 66%.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
2/3 done.
Okay. IT.
In the interest of time, we will
Yeah.
probably
IT
stop
you
here.
can stop when you're 70%. We have crossed 70%. Wonderful.
Right.
Are we
Okay.
able to see the results, madam?
Yes. So we have some 58% people saying that they will not be able to predict the kind of jobs that will exist in 2030. So my first question to my fellow panelists would be, what is the urgency or the pressing need for companies to use technology for talent management? Maybe we could begin with Mr. Deepak Agarwal.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Actually, I have attended so many conferences, addressed so many conferences. We start immediately, how the digital is impacting the function or a line business and all. I think this is the first conference where I'm finding the first question is, what is the urgency? Why you need technology? It's a very, very good question actually. Now, if you talk of HR, I'm just relating it to my Indian Oil Corporation and the other public sectors whom I am in touch. It's very clear. If you don't use the technology in HR, trust me, some of people will get offended also. Within 3-4 years, the HR will become a redundant function. So it is very, very important. The urgency is you have to really imbibe technology and the latest technology, maybe sooner or later, but you have to bring into your function. That's the one urgency. Second thing is a company like Indian Oil, where we give a lot of focus on our customer experience. For example, how we dealt with our LPG customers during the COVID time, how did we provided the new experiences to them sitting at the home, how they booked the cylinders, how they got cylinders at home, how our dealers worked and all, everything we did to that. These customer experiences you cannot bring until unless the employee faces a very good experience at their workplace. So the point is to have the good employee experiences at the workplace. The technology is required. Technology, I mean, HR, I think is using for the last 10-15 years. I mean, it's not that we are not using the technology. For example, people in my public sectors, people are using HR since 2003, SAP HR, they are using it. But today, the need for the talent management, looking at the millennials requirement, the technology is also changing very fast. And the second thing is what you will do with this data. For example, if you talk to me in SAP, I have got the data since 2001. 18 terabytes of data is basically I am accumulating into my machines. What I will do with this data? Will I continue to do a conventional reportings, analytics, what I used to do a paper-based, or I have to work on a behavioral insights? So these are the things, you know, which are bringing the urgencies and the need for bringing the technology into the talent management. One more thing I would like, there's an opportunity to transform. The point is you want to do something, but there is no opportunity. There are no tools available. But right now, if you talk about it, there are plenty of, it's a basically, I was just reading somewhere, $8 billion market is there. Talent management software, it's a $8 billion market. I mean, this is what they are working on to that. And in public sector, specifically when we buy a procurement, we have to do a capital budgeting. But today you have got a model where you can work on an OPEX model. You just pay a revenue and use the services till the time you want it. So again, this is a very, very big motivation to bring the technology into your HR functions. Everybody wants collaboration. They want an efficient processes. So these are basically all the primary needs for that actually. Fairness, transparency, diversity and inclusion, social responsibility, productivity, employee brand image, teamwork, internal mobility, employee well-being. I mean, employee well-being during the COVID time, how people have used the technology. Can you believe we made our own, the telemedicine app, which was far better than the #1 hospitals in the country, just to service our internal employees, how they could talk to a pool of doctors and all. So why the point is this, there is a opportunity, industry is also changing, Nexus 4.6, mobility. Now mobility is another thing, you know, everybody has got a mobile in his hand and they want to have each and every service, all data onto this mobile. So these kind of a Nexus of forces, machine learning coming up, artificial intelligence is coming up. This is basically turning HR into a faster and a wider process function actually. So all those things are basically which are making the urgency, the motivation, primary need for using technology in talent management, and this is the right time also. So let's not delay it. I mean, start with some experimentation, but I think, and at Indian Oil, we have started replacing our all legacy technical HR systems now with all those kind of new technologies which are coming into the market. One by one we are going, we are not in hurry, but we have already started the process, looking at customer experience and employee experience. So one last thing I will just tell is, when you onboard an employee into the Indian Oil Corporation, what kind of how you boarded him, how you recruited him, what kind of experience you gave it to him, and how he retired from the organization, and after retirement, what kind of experience you are giving him for the HR functions. This is all, it is all technology driven today. So I think these are all the needs. It's a very high time to bring technology into the talent management and refabricate it as per the new technologies. Actually. Thank you.
Thank you for those insights, Mr. Agarwal. Now, may I request Mr. Rohit Thakur to please share his thoughts on this question?
Sure, Manasi, and thanks, Deepak, for sharing some, I think, some a whole myriad of objectives and the kind of intensity, why we should be going in for something like technology. Just to add a few other points, I think you've covered a lot. There's a few other points from my standpoint would be, I think for organizations to develop a deeper understanding of talent pools and their segmentation, the HR high potential versus critical talent. I think we will see as we go forward, the demand for the right talent, not just good talent, the right talent for the right job is only going to go up. I think that entire segmentation of who for what role, who's a good manager, who's a good leader, who's a good technologist, who's a good individual contributor. How do I bifurcate that so that I can maximize the person's potential? I think one element where I think technology can be extremely helpful. The entire return on talent is when your best people are put into the most critical roles. And so identification of critical roles and assessing if the best people are on it is also something that will come out as a part of using technology. The entire flexibility of talent deployment. As we look at workforces that are spread out, as we look at workforces which are going to be, say, like, the entire gig workforce. How do you identify the talent, tap the talent, put the talent on the right job? Again, it's going to be huge kind of technology initiatives that will help us, do that and also get there. Data integrity in the number of multiple systems that companies have, including Excel spreadsheets and all kinds of other software that could be there. How do you integrate them? How do you align them? So when you actually are talking about a particular attrition point or a particular new joiner point or a particular employee satisfaction score point, it is data sanctity and the entire data integrity out there also. I think systems can be of tremendous help. And finally, my last point would be how do you actually democratize learning? One big part of the workforce of the future is when organizations don't look at learning as something that is held or controlled, in the hands of few. How do you actually democratize learning so people can access what they feel is the right skill and the right technology, and the organization can just lay out a whole plethora of things for employees to do, and that democratization again of learning is going to happen using technology. So I think, and I think this is the right time, as Deepak mentioned. I think there's tremendous opportunity and tremendous urgency, for organizations to wake up to this and really kind of start implementing it, within the employees and teams.
Thank you, Mr. Thakur. I was reading a recent issue of Harvard Business Review, and they spoke about 5 core lessons which were learned from organizations who have been in the forefront for implementing technology. And I'll just share those 5 points with the audience here. The first point says, putting responsibility for innovation in the hands of those who are closest to customers, and reducing layers of control and approval, increasing the likelihood that the talent technologies will be fit for purpose. The second learning is that HR must be a partner and enabler, but not the owner. The third point which this article mentions is that talent technology has to be tailored to specific business needs and company context and culture. The fourth point is working with new technologies in new and nimbler ways creates the need for additional innovation in talent practices. And last but not the least, The job of leaders shifts from mandating change to fostering a culture of learning and growth. And that brings me to the second question for my panelists, which is, what do you think are the challenges in implementing technology for talent management? So maybe this time we can begin with Mr. Thakur.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges is the cost of technology, and what does it take to kind of get technology in, and I think one part of that question, as I was thinking through this one just now, is if you want to buy a car, if you want to buy a house, if you want to buy a product, you've got websites which pretty much kind of tell you very clearly. You want to buy insurance, which also tells you about what kind of technology to be used where, what's the best deal, what's whatever. I think from a lot of talent management and HR technologies is not so clear, and that's why again the simplifying the technology being used, value of product leaders in making technology easy to use again becomes I think extremely important. And like I said, what is the real value of that particular product at the particular price? That again, to help somebody understand that with the kind of plethora of products that exist and the brands that exist, that again becomes, I think, one big challenge. Fourth challenge, I think from a company standpoint is the entire leadership buy-in. It's about, as you look at organizations where costs are limited, where the capacity to invest is limited. Where do you put your money? Where do you put your money? And I think that's where again you got to put in marketing and product and engineering and research and of course in talent management. So when you look at the entire plethora of things, what do you want to invest in talent management? How do you simplify that entire investment? What product do you go after? And hence, how do you get the entire leadership buy-in from finance or from the CEO or from the entire leadership team about what you want to invest? And of course, once implemented, so let's say you've done all these elements, there's a massive change element involved in the use and adoption of technology. So I've seen many cases where companies buy some fantastic systems, but they use a very, very small, part of it. And that includes laptops as well. Many organizations have fancy laptops, but what you're using with the laptop is again, just for emails or just for PowerPoint and stuff. So I think making the business case for the right technology, getting the right technology at the right price, and then maximizing the technology so people can see the benefit coming out of that. If you don't go through these milestones, there is challenges in implementing technology.
Over to you. Thank you, Mr. Thakur, and over to you, Mr. Agarwal.
Yeah, I am very closely working with my corporate HR department, and I will share with you the real actually challenges what we face in Indian Oil. The one is the specific skill set. That's the biggest challenge. See, today the time has come when each and every function, whether it is HR or other people, they have to learn the low coding technology actually. Because if you leave everything in the hand of IS department or IT department, I think things will take the back seat. So the HR has to develop some skill set, how to use the analytics software, how to do the low coding. So these kind of a specific skill set the HR department has to build within the organization. The second thing is the new mindset. Now, once you bring all those technologies into the talent management, what happens is the employees' day-to-day interaction with the HR gets reduced. Now, is HR ready for it? I mean, do they have a really mindset? Doesn't matter, let the technology do our work. For example, if somebody wants to know what is the HBA rule in the organization, he will go to the HR desk today. If I provide him a chatbot answering him his question, then I don't require an HR face to answer his question. So is that mindset is HR okay with it? So that's the biggest challenge, having a mindset. Third, the biggest problem, because for the last 6 months, we are working with some consultants as well as with HR people. As I earlier told you, this is a multi-billion-dollar talent market. You have got products like ERP suites, you have got talent management suites, you have got SCM suites. So many products are available in the market, right? Which product is to be chosen? And whether it is really fit for the organization, for your requirement or not, that's a very, very big challenge. Because in my last 6 months work with the different solution partners, my observation is no tool or no software is fit for any organization. You have to really make it tailor-made to work as per your requirement. So the biggest challenge comes is HR, can they really specify what is their business processes in the next 5 years? How do they really want to see their talent management process and tell the service, the solution provider, look, this is how I want to give a shape to my HR department, right? These kind of things are there. For example, you just did a polling exercise today. I was just reading the HBR. In 2030, they say there is going to be a new post called Chief of the Employee Experiences. I mean, they will not be CHRO, Chief of Employee Experiences. They're going to have a post for that. Now, to working on 2030, what kind of a post, what kind of a HR positions will be there? This only artificial intelligence can do it. Now, is HR ready to take up these technology challenges and not? So these are some of the challenges. Market readiness, as I told you, you want something, if you really want something in artificial machine learning, doesn't mean that technology can answer all your questions. Is market ready to take your requirement? That's another thing. Third thing or last, I mean, one of the very, very important thing, as Mr. Rohit was also telling, and you also read into the HBR, the first thing you told, you really need a leader with an innovation mindset. I mean, that's the biggest challenge. And if I look at a HR leadership in Indian Oil, I mean, I know the last 4 months I have worked very closely with him, COVID, no initiative without technology he has taken. And he has got a next 2 years, total plan is in his mind, what he's going to do with HR and the technology. So you really require at the top a very good technology innovation leader. HBR has said it very, very correctly, very, very correctly. Now, coming back to your second point, very important point. If you take any talent management technology initiative, who should drive it? HR or the line business? Because this, the same HBR article says, because your line business is more closer to the customer and they are more closer to the employees who was working in the functions. Does HR knows better or does the line function knows better? Who should implement this technology? Or HR should be just like an enabler, or they should just partner with it? It's a very, very big challenge, because if everything you leave it with HR, the line function may not like it. I mean, there are a lot of possibilities are there. The last thing is the velocity of a change, which I will definitely mention. Till the time you think of bringing some technology into the talent management, the next day the new technology comes into the market, and again your mindset gets changed. Again your mindset gets changed, right? So these are some of the challenges I think which I think taking technology into the talent management. And the last thing I will definitely mention is the personalization. Because Rohit sir was talking about democratization, I will use the word personalization. Each and every employee, they want an HR services in this fashion, so that it appears that HR services is only catering to him as per his taste, as per his liking, or as per his needs. So that's the biggest challenge. If you have got a 35,000 employees in Indian Oil, how do I cater my HR services for the personification? So that's a big challenge. So technology is there, but how to bring this technology in shape to cater to the talent management, I think it's a biggest challenge. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And probably now it is the right time to take up our second poll question. So I request the IT team to please show us the second poll question. Okay, so the question probably is visible to all of you now. Do you think HR is tech savvy and ready for this change?
This time it is faster than earlier. We're done 50%.
Faster, sir?
We are already done 55%.
Okay.
And you are asking HR, are we tech savvy? See for yourself. We are 61%. This time we'll go beyond 70%. Okay. Last time we stopped at 71%.
Yeah. So maybe we can wait for a minute.
Yeah, we have just taken 50 seconds, 54 seconds, 56 seconds, 1 minute, 63%. Yeah, One will again go for the 70% mark and stop. A little more. A few more. Yeah, please show the poll to all. Okay, we'll see how to do that. Alok, there is a request from the audience that they are not able to see the poll, but I am able to see people are voting. So 67% people have voted, so must be visible to all. But one person has written is not visible. Maybe you are sorry for him. Okay, we'll stop here, gentlemen.
Not visible to us also.
Okay, so there is some issue. We'll sort it out. But now 69% people voted.
Yeah. And probably the results are now visible to all, which says that 80% of those who responded said that they need training. So yes, I mean, the HR people need to get trained on using technology for talent management. That brings me to my third question to the panelists, which is, what do you think could be some of the cultural issues in terms of, enabling organizations to going for adopting technology? So are our organizations ready? Are they efficient enough? So what could be some of the cultural issues? So maybe we can begin with Mr. Agarwal.
Okay. Coming back to your poll question, I'll start with that. See, both the questions are right. HR is ready, very much inclined to take the new technologies, but definitely they need the trainings also. Why? Because everybody needs a training. My take is like this: if in a village, my LPG customer, a lady, a villager can book a LPG connection through our Indian Oil app, so HR to hamara bahut hi, I mean, they are very, very learned people in all organizations. So adopting technology will not be an issue. The issue comes how to conceive that what kind of a talent management I have to, where to use in technology. That's the basic thing. What business process I should take that. Using technology is not an issue. Now coming to your culture issues. The biggest culture issue which comes to my mind is if I use technology, if we use technology, will the too much openness, collaboration will make HR redundant? That's the biggest culture issue. This is what the HR people have in mind. So, I mean, to some extent, definitely it is true in every public sector, in every organization also. If you use collaborations tool, if you use chatbots, if you use artificial intelligence, if each and every technology is doing the HR work at the background, I mean, do you think HR will be really required? I mean, or this post will go redundant? And the way cognitive technologies, for example, if you talk of IBM Watson tool, they can do really, they can really do wonders at the workplace, these cognitive technologies and all. So that's one of the culture issues. Second issue, again, I said new mindset, new specific skill set. They're all culture issues which you have done. Fourth is basically, everybody is thinking, shall I be the early adopter of the technology, or shall I wait for the others to adopt it and see the results of it? For example, if I do something, whether a PSUB, if he's doing something, let me see whether it is a failure or a successful. If it's a successful, then I will adopt it. So basically they are waiting for somebody else to take this call, to use it, and then they will bring it within their organization. And the fourth culture issues is that the respect for the data. Why, when I say respect for the data, is basically how to deal with the data, how to store the data, how do you clean the data, how do I capture the data from the people, from the within the organization, right? And shall I really become a data centric or a data enterprise organization or not? If these things you are not able to accept it, or if you're not able to regard this particular data thing within the organization, this culture issue, you don't bring it, I think the digital innovation, the digital wave will not take in any organization, right? The last thing I will say, the agility adoption, because once you bring the technology into your HR function, you have to be very, very open for the agility. You have to be very, very open for the agility. If you're not open for agility, if you're not open for the innovations, these culture issues will always become a hindrance in adopting technology into the talent management function. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thakur, please.
Yeah, thanks, Deepak. Thanks, Manashi. First of all, I think on the poll, just to kind of, the poll, I think the audience, just to my concept there, the audience is not supposed to see the poll. If you see the poll happening, then you come to know what, where the audience is moving. So it's to bias you, The audience is only supposed to see the poll once the poll finishes. So I think there's nothing wrong with the technology there. It's working absolutely fine. In terms of cultural issues, I would just say that some of the biggest issues is not letting go of the earlier way of doing things. I think some of these fears that Deepak just spoke about, those manifestations of that fear to say that, hey, I hold information is critical, I'm doing whatever, and or the process is just set, the way it is there. If it ain't broken, why fix it? Some of these not letting go is, I think, one big element that I've seen about new technology being adopted, getting stonewalled. Second is trusting technology down as a top-down initiative. It comes from the top. You got to do it this way without getting buy-in, without investing in communicating the need. Talking about why we are doing this. Hearing employees and teams about what issues they're actually going through. Which will help resolve this. That's I think a kind of second theme. And I think traditional mindsets of managing talent and leaders managing people's careers, that, hey, I know what's good for the team, I know what's good for who's the best person, blah, blah. This is a very traditional mindset, which is actually based on the idea of a hierarchy. Whereas what companies are moving towards, or people are moving towards, is kind of marketplaces, which are moving at frightening speed, where every company is creating jobs every day and often sunsetting jobs at the same time. So employees are free to kind of, choose, or talent is free to choose, where they want to move when. And the idea of holding an employee back, for what the manager or the organization thinks is the right thing for the employee, that can become a big constraint, because some of these technologies allow for a very open and transparent, element of how talent can move from one place to the other. So I think what we need to do is really identifying leaders who understand how to leverage technology and can capitalize on doing it. It is important to implement tools and technologies which enable qualities such as openness to experience and feedback, and also, as Deepak mentioned, the entire element around customer focus. These are key for a leader who will thrive operating in a strong digital environment.
Thank you. For the sake of this session, I also happened to conduct a survey amongst our second-year students at Birla Institute of Management Technology, those specializing in HR. And I asked them what are their expectations from technology in terms of talent management. So I'll just quickly share some of the thoughts, some of their expectations. They want a technology to process more data at a faster speed. They would look forward to using cameras to judge facial expressions and body language. They would want that profiles of candidates on social media should be checked by some technology, so that HR people don't have to spend time on that. They want to use chatbots to answer questions that candidates have throughout the process of recruitment. They want cloud storage. They want integrated data analytics for reliable HR metrics and talent intelligence. Now, some of these I also need time to understand. They are looking at blockchain to add more transparency to their systems, artificial intelligence in terms of monitoring people in the workforce, programmatic recruitment, succession planning and internal mobility, and the use of simulations through mobile apps. So this is a generation which is, they want everything at the click of the mouse and probably by hitting a small button on their mobile phones. So when it comes to talent acquisition and onboarding, we are looking at right fit, reduced bias. When we are looking at engagement and retention, we want, there's some screen sharing happening.
Somebody by mistake shared his screen, Mr. Prabhat Varshney. Thank you for the cooperation. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So when it comes to employee engagement and retention, they want that the employees should have a good experience, holistic assessments, and personalized rewards. And when it comes to innovation and leadership, they look forward to continuous learning. So I would like to hear your views on this. What do you think are some methods which can be used to fulfill the expectations of this millennial generation? So I request Mr. Thakur to speak first.
I think you've actually answered. I mean, this is really what they need. I mean, I think the students have been a very, very strong, I would say, subset of what millennials want. I mean, I can think of two things which, let's say, when I speak to my children, what I see them wanting or aspiring for is one, of course, a very seamless, intuitive, easy to use tech platform like a Facebook or an Instagram, where each product fulfills a specific need. I think the purpose of what they need the technology for has to be very clear to them. So when they join an organization, what's the purpose of knowing, how can I know the benefits program the best? What insurance to take? When I want to give my petrol reimbursement, my fuel reimbursement, my earned leave, element, what's the best platform? Is it intuitive enough? Is it simple enough? When I do my appraisals, it's going to be very clunky, clunky process. Can I get feedback, on the way I'm doing? Can I do my appraisal in a very seamless fashion again? So I think a platform which again is networked, is connected, and gives a seamless experience and very clear. I go to this when I want this. I don't go to this and then find some 20 things over there that I'm trying to figure out. What I want to go next. That I think is one theme. The second one I think is around really social listening. There's so much of information that is being communicated, shared in so many forums. When millennials work in an organization, I think the methodology to really listen to what they're saying, their needs and feedback, pick up signals from employee manager conversation, open text comments, and goals managing the system. Again, how can this intelligence be used intelligently to get the experience? What Deepak mentioned about the CHRO moving to an employee experience leader, as somebody goes forward. I think those elements is again something where the technology can really help us. And I remember my friend Tanmay from Infido, who I had met a few years back, and he set up a kind of a bot which, for example, looks at exactly this data and in organization and lets HR people know to have the moments that matter. We've heard of moments of truth. The moments that matter for every employee at different stages of their life or career. How can this bot really capture some of those moments and really give the intelligence to the company and the HR organization to actually have an intervention which can really help them. So I think the second point of truly listening and acting on that, is my second theme of what I think millennials want.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up Amber also over here. That's the chatbot.
I forgot. I remember Infido. I forgot the name Amber. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Agarwal.
Yeah. Actually, in the last 3 years, we have recruited about, if I'm not wrong, about 3,500 to 4,000 fresh officers in Indian Oil Corporation. And I used to take a lecture on digital innovation for this workforce, because we thought the moment they're coming to the organization, let them tell all about traits and tricks of digital innovation, so that right from the very first day, they are able to think in that direction. As you did some survey, I also touched on their pulses, and what the first part, what do they tell is very, very funny. Huh? They say, if I'm talking on Twitter, I'm talking on Facebook, if I'm talking on some other media, it is your responsibility to find out what I want from the organization. He says, if I am putting something on the Quora.com, please don't give me any evaluation form. Please don't give me any feedback form. No, you please use some sentimental analytics, different kind of tools to find out what implies in an organization they want, and you do your segmentation and all accordingly. This is what is their expectation, they say. They say, we are on Instagram, we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on IOCL Facebook also, and especially on Quora.com. For example, a lot of people, you will talk about whether ONGC is better or IOCL is better or NTPC is better. This particular battle goes on for the first 3 or 4 months. He says you judge from them what we people are talking about it. So this is the voice of the employee basically, right? This is a very good coined word now, voice of the employee. How do you capture the voice of the employee? This is what the Millennial Force wants. The second thing is the HR virtual assistant, right? Now they want everything through an NLP engine now. We call it natural language processing. You call it chatbot or some other mean. They say, if I say, what's my salary in this month? Somebody at the back end, your system should answer me. How many leaves are pending for me? Somebody should answer me. Whether I have declared my dependency list within the system or not, your system should answer me. I will not go to the HR. I will not go to the administration person. If I want to book a ticket, you please give me the facility onto my mobile. So basically, they are all talking of chatbots, virtual assistants, and other things. For example, one very good example he was giving me. He says, my father was in a public sector. He went to Germany and he wanted to book a hotel. So when he went to book a hotel on site, a chatbot came and the entire processing of his hotel was done by the chatbot. So there was no phone call, no receptionist, nothing. So this kind of example, basically he related to us. Third thing, what they're telling is about the career coach. That's a very important concept. I spent extra time with that particular officer. What do you actually mean by it? He says, now I have just joined the corporation and I have got about 35 to 40 years now working. I have to work with Indian Oil Corporation. Can you make some model for me? Can you make some machine learning or AI model for me based on your back data, which every year he guides me what kind of a career I should opt within Indian Oil. Whether you give me or not, that's a different question. But what kind of a path I should take? For example, if he says my aspiration is to become the chairman of the company, then in what all function I should work for how many years, whether I should take a regional posting, location posting. So there should be some, basically he want a career coach, right? Fourth thing, they were telling the learning personalization. They say there are a lot of learning management system in the market, but I want a learning management tool which knows what Deepak Agarwal wants. And it should only, I think Harvard Business, they have got a tool like this. So based on your competency marking or your EPMS scoring and all, they will suggest you as per, they will personalize the entire learning for you. And how do you manage your workforce management for so many things, automatic scheduling of their task, work, and all this. For example, a very good example, I'll give you the COVID time. During the COVID time, all 35,000 employees of Indian are working from home. How do I give the work to them? So we made an application called e-attendance application where anybody can give a job, can give a task through a mobile to anybody, and it will go and place into his mobile e-attendance app. Everybody can see that. He says, how do you manage workforce management through these apps, through this technology? This is what they would like to see on that. So these are some of the things, you know, and as you rightly said, the most important, I don't know why everybody is talking about it. They are talking about the bias-free screening. They are talking about bias-fighting solutions. They say, please don't read my biodata. If you find, no, I don't do this thing, oh, this is a Bekar candidate. Don't do that. Let system understand what is your job requirement and whether do I fit into that. So to eliminate the biasness in the selection, can you use some tools? I mean, then I really studied, there are a lot of tools available in the market actually. I mean, who does all those kind of things? And video screening, though in Indian Oil, we don't have a culture because our recruitment process is totally different. They say they have got some intelligent video tools, as you were telling. You read their face and let us know whether he's lying or whether he's right actually what he's committing during the interview. So these are some of the technologies I think what Millennium, they really want to make use of that. I mean, and they're very, very eager to see that the line HR function to adopt these technologies.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Agarwal. There are a few questions which have come in for you in the chat box. You may please like to have a look. And in the meanwhile, maybe I'll ask one question from Mr. Rohit Thakur. What do you think could be some of the data privacy issues or ethical issues related to using technology for talent management?
I think huge. I mean, that's where I think that's where we got to be, I think, very careful, because a human being, can manage just this much of data. So if the issue happens, just this much of data is going to get kind of, compromised. When machine learning and AI and systems come in, they manage enormous amounts of data, and I think data privacy for organizations, a simple thing, references, how casually, some of us handle the reference check process in India as compared to some of the more developed countries where there's a lot of sensitivity towards, what you talk about a person, how you ask for a reference, how you respond to a reference. Is just one very simple example. So I think in the entire automation element also, as I was doing my work across the companies I worked in, including Paytm, as we get in a new system, to ensure that the mapping of the system to the manual process and the checks and balances or the gatekeeper element to who the data can flow out to, who's got access to the data, what is the click of a button, at what instance will that button yield to what kind of a information going out becomes extremely important. So I would just say data secure, and nowadays with security breaches, with the amount of phishing that's going on, where people kind of can kind of defraud individuals personally, and also can hack into organizations professionally. I think there are serious, serious. I can't even emphasize the amount of serious implications to and the caution that I would give any organization or any individual to get trained on how to use the system, and to really ensure that when you get a system, the kind of firewalls and the kind of data privacy elements that you must do, because it can put the organization at huge risk, of fines, penalties, and and even them individually, from a criminal standpoint. So I think it's a great question, and that is one element that I would say a huge caution on implementing technology.
Madam, the technology tells me that we're only 4 minutes left, and we have to do audience question, summing up, and vote of thanks.
Right.
Do something with technology.
We can take one
So
question.
over to Mr. Agarwal for the audience questions.
What is that, ma'am?
Madam, you are supposed to read the question and answer.
Okay. So there was a question for Mr. Deepak Agarwal, which said, do you think transparency in talent management policy and process is to be for all the employees, or is to be limited to a bunch of employees who are handling the policies and processes?
No, when system becomes system, it becomes for everyone. So, I mean, you can't just intervene ki this will be from this kind of this officer. I think that's the beauty of these technologies, and that kind of a mindset you have to bring it into the culture. So if you have to bring transparency, talent management policy, it has to be brought for each and everybody and for all the processes into this thing. Either you block it or unblock it. So there is no midway. It means there is a manual intervention in the technology which is not correct actually.
Madam, take one more question.
Yeah, just one more question. Are there any companies co-opting with the millennials to create the workplace of choice? No matter how much one tries, without their input, it's difficult to accomplish this. So how do you do this? Maybe Mr. Rohit Thakur.
Yeah, I would just say that it's a great question, but I think it's a answer in itself. I can't think of too many companies today where a minimum of 60% of the workforce is are not millennials. So I mean, I've worked in companies where 85% of my workforce is millennials. So I just think I think there is no option. That's the opportunity as well for for leadership team, as long as they can understand how can they tap the millennial talent, understand what they really want. I mean it's quite like you, Manashi, when you ask the question about what do millennials want. I mean, your students are really the millennials, and they've given you the answer. Right? You've tapped into what they wanted. So I think similarly for organizations to really harness that potential, see how to harness it, I think is the challenge. But once you do that, how do you empower them so that they can self-create? They can co-partner with leaders who might not be millennials, and really do kind of reverse mentoring of sorts to help them get to a place where the culture can be co-created.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, we don't have time for more questions here. Maybe it could be addressed later on. I'm told that there's a breakout session immediately after this, so maybe some of those people could be let in there. To summarize, I'd just like to share with everybody here that when we discussed about the urgency or the need to use technology for talent management, some of the points which were highlighted by the panelists were that we need to be careful about transparency, diversity, mobility, employee experience, flexibility, identifying the critical roles, integration, and democratization of learning. When it came to challenges of using technology, the major thrust was in terms of cost of technology, making it easy to use. May I request others to please mute yourselves? Thank you. The return on investment, the buy-in of the leadership, how to simplify things, the specific skill sets required, how to make technology tailor-made for different requirements, is the market ready, the leader with innovation, and to what extent the leader is ready for initiatives related to technology, the velocity of change and personalization. And when we talked about, some of the additional issues, we spoke about some of the fears and apprehensions, and this was specifically in the context of cultural issues, the buy-in of people, the traditional mindsets, seamless tech platform, which is the need of the hour, and the voice of the employee needs, which needs to be captured. So that's all from my side. Thank you all. It was a wonderful session, a very enriching and enlightening one for me as well. Thank you, Mr. Agarwal and Mr. Thakur. And that's all from my side.
Maybe Naveen, you want to add something before Shreya comes in?
I think, I must thank all the panelists. It is such a wonderful session, and I personally believe that sessions like this are useful when they provoke a positive energy in you to think a little more. And I think the kind of ideas all the panelists have brought in, Deepak and Rohit and Dr. Manasi, they're very, very interesting and really, really thought-provoking. So I must sincerely thank all three of you.
Now we have a formal vote of thanks from Shreya, our anchor.
Yes, sir. So I would like to thank all the speakers for such a wonderful session. So we have a small thank you video for all our speakers as a token of gratitude.
We tried to make it as technical as possible.
Thank you. It's very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Also, I would now like to open the floor for the delegates' interaction with the speakers. So we have selected some delegates on a random basis from the list. So they'll be moved to the breakout rooms. I hope they will take the advantage of this benefit by coming up with some interesting questions for the panel. So I'll just announce the name of the selected participants. It's E. Malarvanan from MMTC Limited, S. Krishna Kumar from IREDA, Vaishnavi from Eregnow, Mr. Aslam Pravez from Indian Oil, Utkarsh Srivastav from Jagannath International Management School, Mr. Nilesh Nikilje from Indian Oil, Drishti Mittal from Management Development Institute, Miss Isha Rikhi from EIL, Preeti Balavarma from BEML, and Miss Nazreen Khan from Indian Oil.
Great. Here also technology has picked up those 10 names. Let's see. Yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone for being a wonderful audience. We request you to enjoy the light music, have a look at our sponsors, and join the breakout rooms for any informal interactions. And we would start off with the technical session at 4 o'clock.
So, no. I think 15 minutes, no? It cannot be 4 o'clock.
Yes, sir. Sorry, it's at 3:45.